Did you know if you drop a like and subscribe in the next 5 seconds, nothing will happen but it will put a giant smile on my face? Fortnite Chapter 3 Season 1, believe it or not, is already 42% complete, despite us just receiving a well-anticipated update being the version 19.10, not only implementing, of course, as everybody is landing at now, tilted towers, but as you've maybe been lucky enough to spot across the map, this gigantic cute thing that's now revealed being the Columbus monster. And despite more map changes happening in the background to point toward the end or finale of this season in terms of a live event, what if I told you that we have some major factors to discuss today, such as the return of the Polar Peak monster in this Chapter 3 dimension. In today's video, as you can see by the title, we're going to be going over all of that and ultimately how the story's going to be playing out now before March 19th, 2022 when Chapter 3 Season 1 ends and Chapter 3 Season 2 starts on. And believe me, the leaks that we're going to be covering today pointing toward the future things upcoming in this season will honestly shock you so much, so stay tuned, sit back, relax, grab your favourite snacks and stick around to watch the full video. And whilst you're doing that, one favour I ask of you guys that won't take you 2 seconds is to simply enter code FM1 please inside the Fortnite item shop the next time you log on. I challenge you all right now, try and make this process last longer than 10 seconds, and if it does, don't enter it, that's how confident I am. Entering code FM1 not only puts a giant smile on my face, but cheers my pug up Gus too, as he's been kind of sad recently from discovering that 70% of you guys watching right now aren't subscribed. And speaking of subscribing, yeah, we're incredibly close to 2.3 million, and we can definitely hit that before the end of January if everybody subscribes right now. And don't forget too, there's a bonus for this, as I give 5 subscribers every day. So of course, if you do want to receive a gift, make sure you're subscribing to the channel with all notifications turned on, and then comment your Epic Games ID down below and let me know what you like to receive. And who knows, you could be shown gifted in front of hundreds of thousands of eyes to see in the very next video I post on the channel. But with that said, now enough messing around, we need to take a deep dive into everything that's building up now to ultimately end off the first season of this 3rd chapter, so make sure of course you don't go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere.
I'm sitting on my
Don't
back.
go anywhere.
Okay, so before we dive into all the brand new map changes within the 19.10 update and how these point toward, well, the Final Showdown V2 as you've seen in the title, with not only the return of the Polar Peak monster but also the giant Mecha Robot for round 2, I just want to quickly announce that we're running another 5,000 V-Bucks giveaway for 24 hours now over on my Twitter when you're watching this video as soon as it's uploaded anyway, so make sure to not miss out, click the link in the video description or in the pinned comment and enter up now. But anyways, rewinding the clock back to the start of Chapter 3 Season 1 anyways, where snow predominantly covered most of the island, although it's now melting and has revealed some secrets. One of the main secrets that's literally been right in front of our eyes this entire time since the start of the brand new chapter, where we got washed up onto the brand new island after it flipped over. As you can see right now in the outskirt ocean in the western region of the island is one of the arms of the Mecha Robot, and for those that have been playing Fortnite for over like a year or 2 I believe now, considering Chapter 1 I believe was 2 years ago. In Chapter 1 Season 9 there was a build up between 2 sides or 2 giant things that were going to be going head to head anyways, being the Polar Peak monster initially breaking out of the iceberg and then going around the map eating stuff, and also the building process of a giant robot that we know to be the giant Mecha Team Leader robot. When the day finally came that the Polar Peak monster revealed its true identity to us, despite just leaving imprinted footprints in the island itself when we were in-game, of course this was time then for the Mecha Robot to take action, and actually stopped it from harnessing the power of the 0 point by, well, the Mecha Robot harnessing the power of the 0 point itself to defeat it, but in the process got its arm ripped off, and as you can see it seems to be in the ocean edge of the island, or the west kind of area, like where it landed when the Polar Peak monster ripped it off and threw it into the ocean. And despite at the end of this event with the Mecha Team Leader flooding into space to never be seen again, or until now anyways this season when it's probably going to be making a reappearance, as the days passed on the lead up to Season X, not only did the 0 point destabilize furthermore, but also simultaneously there seemed to be this pink substance oozing out from the skeleton of the Devourer itself. At the time we thought this would have involvement in Season X, and then the end event occurred at the end of Season X itself, and well, we never saw the return of the Mecha Robot or the Polar Peak monster, which now makes sense with all the matter being sucked into a black hole. It was all transported to the flip side of the Chapter 2 island, being the Chapter 3 island that we now know, that's obviously been turned over from Chapter 2 in the water, meaning now this is the reason why it's currently being excavated near Tilted Towers, being obviously a brand new map change. This landmark, upon visiting it for the first time, will reveal its name to be called the Devoured, meaning yes, of course, it confirms any suspicion, despite it being obvious, about this skeleton belonging to the Big Devourer, as we know the name of it now, thanks to the Polar Legends bundle releasing with this in as a skin. And with us knowing Epic Games love to tease things in a very subliminal or cryptic manner, is it a coincidence now that we have both things involved in the the Final Showdown or pointing toward it or referencing this event that once was on the map at the same time in the exact same season. Well, believe it or not, despite the Devoured location making this more of a coincidence or theory about a new event upcoming being a second clash of these two giant things. Furthermore, what was interesting to do with 19.10, despite the things physically added into game that everyone could see, is what was implemented into the game's coding, foreshadowing what's upcoming in the future. And let's just say, we may not only know now the origin of the polar peak monster initially, where it came from underneath this iceberg that, you know, swam toward the island and crashed into it, but as it turns out too, the operator of the Mecha Robot in Chapter 1 Season 9 that actually defeated the Devourer originally, being Singularity, could be a member of the Seven, and that's what we're going to be diving into very quickly. All the evidence pointing toward this right now, considering we know the Seven are largely involved in this season itself, considering we not only have the leader revealed, being the Foundation, obviously, that we can unlock literally 2 weeks today at the time of me recording this video in the rewards section, but thanks to data miners digging into the coding of these 7 statues, we know that the other remaining members that we don't know the identity of, unless it's in this Fortnite survey form, are the Origin and the 2 sisters. And of course, with the 7 having all of their rockets contained on the outskirts edge of the sanctuary anyways, on one of the little islands, it's a no-brainer that despite an internal conflict within the 7 and a member called the Paradigm itself, they're all going to be involved in the conflict between the Imagined Order, which obviously is a bigger occurrence on the island now with the IO drilling sites popping up everywhere. And speaking of this small conflict within the 7 with the member called the Paradigm, it's believed largely that the Paradigm is another snapshot of the Singularity that manned the Mecha Robot during the Final Showdown event of Chapter 1 Season 9. And firstly, as for the proof we have about that, here's a video that Donald Mustard tweeted out a while ago when the Batman kind of Fortnite crossover comics were coming out. He had this to say about the Singularity, implying that there's more snapshots of herself anyways, and one of them, well, could be the Paradigm based off what we're about to follow up with.
Hey everyone, so I'm going to be sending issue number 5 to James Harris, and when I asked him if he wanted me to draw something on it, he said, could you draw a character that's way more important to the ongoing Fortnite storyline than we all realize? I thought that was an awesome question. So I'm going to be sending you, James, all of the issues, and let me show you who I decided to draw on there. So here's all the issues, and you'll notice that on issue number 5, I drew who you guys know one of her names as, the Singularity. This is a super important character, and I can't wait for you to see a bunch of the cool stuff that will be happening with her over the next couple of years. So I hope you enjoy the issues, I hope you enjoy the series, and I can't wait for everyone to see what happens in issue 5 and then in issue 6 2 weeks from now.
So you heard it right there, whilst he showed not only a sketch of the Singularity herself and implied over the next few years she'll be largely involved in the Fortnite storyline, next to her was also a drawing of a member of the 7, I believe being the Foundation, which kind of implies in itself that she is one of the members of the 7 in a different snapshot form being the Paradigm. Literally take a look at the comparisons on screen right now as Hypex basically broke down what Donald Mustard stated. Also, there's literally so many similarities between the Paradigm and also the Singularity, and you may be wondering, how do we know that there's a conflict between the Paradigm being a member of the 7 and the rest of the 7 members anyways, despite, well, who initiates this voice recording? Is because of this voice recording in itself that I'm going to let you guys listen to now, either by the scientist or the visitor.
Hey, Paradigm, it will not surprise you to learn that you remain public enemy number 1 for the 7. I'm trying to convince them to welcome you back with open arms, but I can't promise that it'll be a cakewalk if you come back. I'll do what I can, and this time, I'll have your back no matter what, like I should have the first time.
So you heard it there, apparently Paradigm is public enemy number 1 for the 7, meaning all of the members, I'm guessing, despite the person who obviously made the voice tape. And the more interesting thing to note about this voice tape in itself is what was mentioned at the end about the fact that this character should have had Paradigm's back the first time and will this time. Personally, I believe why the Paradigm is hated by the 7 and what the first time meant is again referencing back to the first Final Showdown event of Chapter 1 Season 9, as the Paradigm had no choice but to destabilize the 0 point by harnessing its power and leaving it above the vault once slaying the polar peak monster. Of course, we already know the leader of the 7, the Foundation, hates it when the 0 point is destabilized anyways from the events of Chapter 1 Season 5's Zero Crisis finale. So with this literally being the kind of original situation of the destabilized 0 point, yeah, you can imagine why the Foundation is unforgiving of her actions. And as Donald Mustard previously stated, with her being largely involved in the storyline, meaning perhaps she's going to be returning, who's to say that not only a Final Showdown V2 will be occurring based off what we already have hinted toward us? And Furthermore, this would make sense again because of the fact, well, we have another giant statue of the Foundation this time instead of the Singularity, which could actually be a sword once pulled out of the ground once again. And for those wondering now, despite this teasing the Final Showdown or the second occurrence of it anyways, how would this happen considering, well, the Polar Peak monster is devoured, literally at this name, location or POI? Well, believe it or not, in the future weeks to come, the extraction or excavation site here isn't going to stop digging until not only all of the bones are revealed, but the cave underneath it that Hypex has managed to find will be a brand new POI called Cattus Cave. And despite this being very interesting, meaning there's going to be an under map section anyways, or could be Covert Canyon as people have been speculating as an upcoming named location, as you can see in the code, the furthermore interesting thing to me anyways is what states right here, distant creature grown, meaning perhaps, well, there's other creatures like Cattus, and this island anyways or dimension is where it initially came from in this cave underneath. Of course, this was way too intriguing for data miners to not dig into, and from doing that anyways, Hypex tweeted out the following with the video attached with the sound effects. Looks like the Devourer landmark is still planned to turn into a cave. The codename is Cattus Cave, and here are some interior sounds of the cave. It also hints toward a second Cattus from the grown sounds. And again, the codename Cattus in itself, for those that don't know, represents the Polar Peak monster or the Devourer in the files. So right now I'll play a few of those sounds, but not all of them considering this is a minute long clip, but make sure to go over to my Twitter in the video description down below if you want to hear them all. So here the important ones are. So with that confirming that the cave system underneath this Devourer location currently could be the habitat of these monster species. I don't think it's a matter of if you think these two will return now, the Mecha Robot and also the Polar Peak monster, rather so when. Will it be this season? Will it be a live event next season or further down the line? I guess we're yet to know, but I'd love to know your opinions. Of course, before we end today's video, don't forget to head over to Twitter, linked in the video description down below or in the pinned comments, and enter up now for a chance to win 5,000 V-Bucks, as we're also incredibly close over there to 20k followers overall. If you enjoyed this video too, slap a like in it down below, make sure you're subscribing to the channel so that you don't miss any future content. And speaking of other videos or your next destination now, make sure to interact with anything on screen, but most importantly, hopefully I can catch you, yes you the individual still watching, I can see you, but hopefully in that very next video I do post on the channel.